Welcome to my transporter effect tutorial. I'm going to split this tutorial up into 7 parts. The first part is going to be the basics of what we need to do the transporter effect. I'm also going to show you how to do masking in Adobe Photoshop. The other 6 parts are going to be 6 separate effects that I'm going to show you how to do. And they're going to be using the base stuff that we learned in this lesson. So let's start. First of all, we need to start off with some of our raw footage. Now, hopefully, everybody knows what the transporter effect looks like. This is some Star Trek. This effect here is really interesting because this is old generation, shot in the 60s, and they didn't have CGI or anything like that, so they had to come up with their own effects. They actually used Alka-Seltzer in a big tank to get this effect. Those are actually bubbles, and you kind of see the bubbles rising up and doing that. This is Voyager, and you can see the sparkle effect in here. That sparkle effect is actually it's actually glitter in water, and they just kind of stirred it a little bit. It makes kind of a nice effect, and they use that for pretty much all the effects except the Borg have their own special way of going out. So what I did is I actually went out and I shot myself some base footage. So here's some bubbles I shot. This is just Alka-Seltzer in water in a tank, and I lit it from underneath. There's no other lights on in the room, so the only light's coming from underneath. And I slowed them down a little bit. So those are the bubbles. If I could have done this differently, I would have had a taller tank. I think my tank was about half a foot large, or foot tall, and I think I would have got some really neat bubbles. You'll find that varying the water temperature also changes how the bubbles get. Now, as you can see here, that's actually an Alka-Seltzer tablet that is coming up to the surface. You only get about 2 seconds if you use this method of good footage. So what I found you can do is you can take the Alka-Seltzer, get some double sticky tape, stick it to the Alka-Seltzer, and stick a quarter to the Alka-Seltzer, and it'll keep it onto the bottom for a longer period of time. It's kind of a neat effect. Then I also went out and I shot some glitter in water. Again, this is just glitter in water. I'm lighting it from 2 different angles to get some nice sparkles. And you kind of see, this is kind of a fast, chaotic effect. That might look pretty good for something. I actually found it starts to look really cool when it slows down. You get the sparkles that move this way, sparkles that move that way, and you get these fast streaks of sparkles that move, and I thought that looked kind of cool. Perhaps you don't want the sparkles moving horizontally, you want them moving vertical. So you take this tool up here, you can actually rotate it around. Now you have them moving vertical and horizontally. Another cool thing you can do with this, you can move it sideways. Let's say I control D, I can duplicate that layer. T, I'll bring up opacity. I'll change the opacity to 70. With my rotation tool, I'll rotate it this way. And you'll see in this middle, you kind of get another neat effect going on as all these little zippies and glitter things are moving different directions. So that's where I kind of got my base effect ready. I got my base movie ready. And what I need to do is I need to get pictures and put them into Photoshop and do masking on it. You could do the masking in After Effects. I just find it to be a little slicker in Photoshop, though. The way you do that is we're going to take a picture of this one. You go to Composition, Save Frame As, you save it as a file, and you name it whatever you want, whatever you're going to remember, and you just render it, and it'll go ahead and save it. You need to do that for every single time you transport in or out. So I transport in there, out there. Curiously enough, I'm actually going to get a picture of this too. Reason being is that the couch has actually changed position. So you see that pillow right there? And it's kind of droopy right there. Things to think about. I'm also going to get a picture of my table. This is going to help for masking the controller out and the cup out later on. It's also going to help with just bringing the table in without me having to do any video editing to get rid of the cup and stuff. There's a cup and controller. Again, I keep leaving the scene so that the shadows, I have these nice shadows in here, and I want those to be pure. And then I get myself sitting down, and that's my last thing. So now we move over to Photoshop. The basic of what we want to do is we want to make cutouts that look like this, and we want to make shadows that look like this. And I'll show you how I do that. First of all, what we need is we have our base layers. We need to copy that. I drag that down to here, and it copies it. I'm going to click the eyeball on that so it gets rid of that layer. I don't want to affect that layer at all. And we just use our copy. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this button here. This is our masking tool. This is kind of a neat tool. It allows us to use our paintbrush to mask out stuff. Now the cool thing about it is it still saves the data underneath it. So I could take this, I could change this to white now. And you can see I still have that data saved underneath it. It's a little bit superior to using the actual delete tool for masking. So what we want to do is I'm going to set my brush down to 7 again. My hardness down to 0. What the hardness does is it hardness makes the transparency have a little bit of a fuzzy layer on it. So you see here it's very transparent in the middle and it gets less transparent as we get out to the sides. And what you want to do is with the paintbrush tool, you just want to go around your entire self and mask yourself out. Now the tighter you can get this mask, the better it's going to look. So, you know, say if we go out like this, we can stitch this and we can actually get pretty tight into the mask in that point. Sorry about all that. Just very slowly, just take your time. Get your mask looking really, really kind of nice. So that looks a lot better there. Eventually what we're going to have is we're going to have something that looks like this. Now, to get the cutouts, I'm going to select that cutout layer. I'm going to make a new layer, new layer. I'm going to move it behind my cutout. We'll select a color. I'm going to do a really bright green. I'm going to select my layer. I'm going to paint underneath it. So now we kind of have it looks like a green screen effect, except kind of in reverse. What we're going to do is we're going to hit our cutout layer now. The eyedropper tool. We're going to go select color range. And it's going to select that green color. And we're going to set our fuzziness to however we need it. Obviously the reason I'm choosing green is there's no other color green like that. Now we have this selection that comes around my outline. I can get rid of the layer. I can click out that layer and I still have this selection on this transparency layer. I'm going to make myself a new layer. And I'm going to go ahead and paint that black. There we have a shadow. Okay. Now we unclick that shadow layer, and I'm going to bring back in my base layer for my teleport. And now you see that selection tool is still around me. I want to make sure I click that base layer. I'm going to hit Control C, Control V, and now I have a cutout of me. So that's pretty much it. Now we have a shadow. We have a layer like this. This is kind of a cool layer because we can have action happening behind it without affecting the rest of our scene. And then we also have me cut out here. This is the time you start to look at your mask. You can see obviously with this mask here, I need to clean it up a little bit, and you can just bring in your delete tool, or if you have the mask layer still on it, which I don't, you can come in here and you kind of try to get rid of these sharp edges. The eye gets drawn to sharp edges because they're not natural with human forms. To try to get rid of that, clean it up. The more cleaning up you do, the better everything is going to be eventually. So the next thing is you just save it as a Photoshop layer and you transport it into After Effects, and right there, and you can see we have all my background layers, and we have my my mask layers that I cut out. So that is the first effect. Please stay tuned and watch the other ones. Thanks so much.